went and looked at a lot of schools, but for me, that assistant coach position at all the universities seemed to be the selling recruiting point that they had.
Yeah.
They were the guys, hey, you've got the head coach, that's the boss, and then you got your buddy, that's always the assistant coach.
Hey everyone, welcome to My Final Play. I'm Brian. I'm here with former professional baseball player Richie Rodarmel. Richie, thanks for joining me.
Absolutely.
So we're going to get into the sport of baseball. You played it at a collegiate level. You played it at a semi-pro level. Walk us through where it all started.
For us, it started in our backyard.
Yeah.
Little league baseball. But the wiffle ball with the kids in the neighborhood, and that's where it all started for us. Neighborhood kids. Of course, the backyards had the dirt bases all around, and every day we had the kids, and then we were playing ball till it got dark.
Yeah.
Playing wiffle ball till it got dark. So
the love started early.
Yes.
So throughout your I guess little league career, throughout the high school career, what did that look like as far as the commitment that you had to the sport of baseball?
A little different than nowadays. It was back then you'd practice 2 or 3 times a week, right? And then the rest of those days we're in the batting cages, and again playing wiffle ball or playing a pickup game at the little league field. But we were doing it every day, but you didn't have the structure that you have today, where it's travel baseball. If you're not playing a game, you're practicing with your travel team, or you're practicing with your little league team.
Right.
So in those days, man, we were able just to get together and we were playing the game every day.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as structured as it is nowadays.
A little less pressure.
That's it. You got it.
Kind of able to cultivate more of that love and the passion for it as well. So, as far as, you also played other sports too, so that definitely took up some time. But, as you're progressing through Little League Baseball, the leagues after, and then up to baseball in high school, what was the position that you were playing, and what was the real love for the sport?
So throughout my career, I was kind of a dual position guy. Played third base. Believe it or not, at 5'10", we did a lot of pitching, and that's what I ended up doing professionally. But I played some third base. Was a starting pitcher in all the way up through Little League, senior league, and high school. Had the starting pitching role, but also played third base. As I moved on to college, as a freshman in college, I was a right fielder.
Okay.
At James Madison University. I started as a freshman, played right field, and at that point they would bring me in maybe to close a game. Or I'll never forget my first start was against UVA, and Pat Daniker was on the team. So that was my first collegiate start. And then, again, that was the first start, but usually I was the guy that, listen, if it's a 7-5 ball game and we need 3 outs, the center fielder would be getting down, they'd throw me a ball, and I'd be warming up in right field and hopping on the bump. So that was usually the role that I played then, which carried to the major league scene, and I ended up being a closer with Oakland, is what I did, at the professional level.
Yeah. So you mentioned JMU, James Madison University. What did that recruiting process look like to get down to Virginia?
It was fun. I mean, it was neat. Of course, when you're as a senior in high school, many phone calls, right? So these guys are all calling you, and they all want to bring you to look at the university. And for me, there was an assistant coach. His name was Todd Raleigh, whose son just got drafted. As a matter of fact, played for Florida State last year, Cal Raleigh.
Okay.
So Todd was our hitting and coach, and I got to know him real well, and kind of built a relationship with him through the recruiting process, and just really liked the gentleman. So went and looked at a lot of schools, but for me, that assistant coach position at all the universities seemed to be the selling recruiting point that they had.
Yeah.
They were the guys, hey, you've got the head coach, that's the boss, and then you got your buddy, that's always the assistant coach. So for me, it was Todd Raleigh. He was a great great guy, but that relationship was built. I did a baseball camp at JMU, so I got to know them when I was a junior in high school.
Okay.
And then when I became eligible for at that point, I don't think we could recruit prior to your junior year, I believe, the end of your junior year. So when they were eligible to call, I got some phone calls from them, and it was kind of history from there. So
yeah, had it set pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then from JMU, you ended up going and transferring into Shippensburg University.
Yep.
And go ahead and give us a little bit of a background on that too.
The Shippensburg transfer was a couple of things. One, we had some interesting issues with the head coach.
Yeah.
Two, listen, I was homesick. You know, I mean, I'd never been away from home. You know, we've got a close-knit family, so we were 4 hours away in JMU. And when I decided I was going to transfer, I decided, hey, Shippensburg's 2 hours. I can be in a tree stand.
Yeah.
You know, on a weekend, I'm out in a tree stand. You know, I can be out in 2 hours. But that move was interesting because when I went to Ship, I was, again, they put me at third base. I was an everyday guy, also a pitcher.
Yeah.
After that, my sophomore year, I kind of took more on the pitching role, and then they would DH. You know, I'd do the designated hitter thing, which was tough. I didn't like the designated hitter because you're not in every play, and I just was kind of not in the game as much. So by my senior year, I just took on a pitching role with Bruce Petty, who was the head coach there, who's a great gentleman. Matter of fact, I think I heard he just put in for the Mansfield job. So I heard he put in for the Mansfield job. But my senior year, I took on the pitching role. Had some success pitching, and that's when I got the look from Oakland.
Yeah. So after your time at Ship, you went to the Oakland organization. They brought you in as a closing pitcher then.
Yep.
So what was some of that experience like?
Was absolutely amazing. So my first year situation, I got drafted late. I was a senior sign. So they bring me in with the idea they're going to keep me in rookie ball. So I get there, and I've got the roving pitching instructors coming around, and I'm throwing some bullpens, and they had kind of set me up, hey, you're going to be here in Arizona for the first year. With some of the bullpens I had been throwing, and the pitching instructors kind of got me to where I was playing short A ball right away. So I skipped the rookie ball, went and played short A baseball in Vancouver, British Columbia, which was a beautiful city. Got to meet a bunch of guys there. One of them was Marshall McDougall, who at one point held the record for most home runs in one game, Division I at Florida State. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He played I think he was up with the White Sox for a little bit, but nice guy. So I had a neat experience there. There was a closer that had the position, and he was struggling a little bit, and our pitching coach at that time had came up to me and said, hey, what do you think about closing instead of being a middle type reliever? You know, I said, hey, that's fine. You know, whatever you want me to do. Well, I forget what team we were playing, but it was a tight game. I think it was 3-2 in the bottom of the ninth, top of the ninth or what have you. And we needed 2 outs.
Yeah.
So they came in, and I got lucky, and I struck out the last 2 batters, and that was it from that time on. I was a closer for the team. So
yeah, unreal. And then, how many years were you with the organization?
2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, you know, with the fact that you played in high school, you played it at the collegiate level, you know, and then also playing at the semi-professional level and through those organizations, you know, what was your final play? What did that look like?
That was in Long A. I was in Visalia, and had a rough outing. And I'll never forget it. I think I was up on the gentleman 1 and 2, and I needed to throw a fastball. I wanted to come up and in on him a little bit for a setup pitch. And as I did that, I could feel my shoulder pop a little bit on me.
Yeah.
And ended up, long story short, after that, I walked the gentleman because my shoulder was in pain. Didn't want to come out of the game. The coach kind of saw that I was in pain. You know, and he walked out. He said, "Hey, you know, give me the ball. I can tell you're hurt." Of course, being the pitcher, the competitor we are, I said, "I'm fine. I don't want to come out." You know, it kind of took about a 5-minute conversation for me to actually get off the mound, but I did. And after that, I went to see the trainer, and I had to set out for about 3 weeks, and then I just kind of never got back into it as far as my arm feeling good and you know, everything like that. So that was kind of the end of the career for me, but it was tough.
Yeah,
it was tough.
So. You know, obviously, tough is probably an understatement.
Yeah.
You know, specifically, what do you think are some of the emotions that are so closely tied to that memory?
Just the end of a dream, right?
Yeah.
You know, your dream is, and I always tell, you know, coaching a little league team here, guys, I know we love little league, and we've got goals in mind, and when you get to that level, obviously my goal is Mike Messina, right? I mean, this is where not all going to be a Hall of Famers like Mike, but is to be able to compete at that level and to see that come to an end. I'll never forget. I drove out that year, so we drove to Arizona. We were in Scottsdale. Papagayo was where our spring training camp was, and from there, when we broke, I drove to Visalia.
Yeah.
So when I decided, hey, I was retiring, I had a long drive.
Yeah.
Back across the country, and the thoughts, and got some phone calls from my pitching coach, the pitching instructor, and because I'd retired for that reason, knowing that, listen, I can't, with this pain, I'm not going to be able to pitch at that level. So, but the answer to that is to see something like that you've played baseball your entire life,
right?
You know, come to an end. That dream is over.
Yeah,
it's tough. You know, it is tough, and but that being said, the time playing, I wouldn't give it up for anything.
Yeah. Definitely had a long ride to think about it too.
Yeah, that was terrible. Yeah, so, that was terrible. So for sure.
Yeah. What's the first thing you did when you got back?
What did I do when I got back? You know what? I got a phone call from a gentleman playing in the West Branch League here, I believe. Wanted to know if I'd come pitch or play short forward or something like that. I said no, but actually came to work.
Yeah,
came to work for sure.
For sure.
So
definitely cool to be able to look back and like you said, you wouldn't give it up for anything.
No.
To be able to have those experiences and share them. So I definitely appreciate that.
Absolutely.
You know, one last question would be, what do you say would be, or what do you think would be the number one thing that the sport of baseball has taught you in general?
Responsibility, and work ethic, and obviously for any player, you know, to get to that level, all that comes into it, right? I mean, there's guys, no different than any sport, wrestling, baseball. You know, I always tell these kids there's 2 roads in life. One is easy.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody takes that easy road. You know, you disappear if you travel that easy road. It's those guys that take that hard road, that wake up at 6 a.m. and get an extra run in and get, you know, long toss and extra swings in the cage. And that's the same thing with real life and your job it's just work ethic and responsibility.
Absolutely.
So,
well, I definitely appreciate the time.
Absolutely.
And I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. If you did, please like and subscribe. And remember, whatever it is that you do today, approach it with the mindset of, is this my final play? Thanks again.